Well, INEC definitely has a lot to do in the off-cycle election in the three states of Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa. But what should the commission really be doing now to give confidence to the electorate that the exercise will be credible? And should the security agencies be doing also to ensure fairness in their conduct? Well, Dr. Sam Amadi is here to look at these issues. Good evening. And welcome to Newsnight. Well, this issue arose as a result of a petition from the SDP in Kogi State and the rest about BVAS being reconfigured or being configured somewhere. But INEC is saying, look, there's no such thing. Does the electorate still have confidence in INEC, what they do and what they say? Do they?
Unfortunately, they don't. I mean, flatly, I think today or so that Kakadina Onaiko also took up some of the issues about INEC. See, the problem with INEC is in the echo chamber. He hears his voice. He says something. He doesn't even think around what would take it to mean. If INEC could say, bank on us, we're going to transmit results live for polling it, and they never did. They put it out statement, they say it in Chatham House, and now they say, well, we have a right to...
Well, they're now saying it again now, in the off-cycle elections.
And again,
all elections are local, so it matters to the people where it's being conducted.
Again, if you look at the language, they say, oh, we use RF. They don't clearly say we will transmit real time from polling units. So they thrive in vagueness. They are not reliable at all. I mean, somebody argued on Twitter, says, is INEC a criminal organization? Maybe not, but INEC is not a reliable institution. And so electorates who don't rely on INEC, who don't trust INEC, have reasons. So INEC do more.
That means INEC is not helping to, deepen democracy. That's what you're saying.
Look at INEC tries to defend it. Look at elections and all the issues raised about them, not for one party, across board. Look at the issues we're talking about. You just mentioned about the Court of Appeal nullifying one election. Now, INEC claims that party primaries is not responsible, but it's not true. If you look at the Act, INEC has a responsibility, observe, take record, and present the candidates who have passed through the process. So INEC is basically unreliable.
It's failing in its own constitutional
everywhere.
duty.
The only thing they're not failing is in appropriation, in procurement, in capturing all the transactions where there's money. I think that at this point, INEC needs serious probe. I mean, it's so surprising that after using over 300 billion or thereabout naira to deal with
just one item,
technology, and he never used it. So when should we probe INEC? Accountant General's office is there. When would the National Assembly
the Auditor General's
office is there? We have Vatica, who's in that accountability institutions.
Some people will say what a shame of a country Nigeria is.
Big one. I mean,
common election, and we hear EU and some CSOs they say
everything.
Yeah, saying we should come and learn from the Liberian election.
Absolutely.
Liberia,
and then
Nigeria.
You found a behemoth with that amount of money, wooden behemoth who can't run, who can't do anything, and then every off-season, they'll come and do bragadasho. They are having conferences, training their people, spending money.
They are going to the office of the National Security Advisor tomorrow, and they are going with the media to go and do what now?
I would civil society as backup cheerleaders. I think that INEC has to come out clear. For example, how can you run an election in Imo with all the crisis of March and February, but March 18,
and the pending Supreme Court matter.
The REC who has been indicted, who has been accused, who has been alleged, and the 5 parties have protested. By now, the INEC chairman should have come clean and said, you know what? Since you have confidence in this woman, we are going to put this safeguard. INEC has never in its communication taken concrete actions that reassure the people that this will happen. They talk about BVAS, oh, the guy is in Kogi. It's not in Kogi. It's not an excuse. So if somebody needs to be in Kogi to configure material already not in Kogi.
Does even have to remain in Kogi.
After config. So the answers are never reassuring. And because they have a history of corrupt
integrity problem.
They fail it all the time. So if you look at indictments, not just this election, all elections, you see that INEC officials are lead in some of this manipulation. And so we've come to a point where people...
So the FEDECO period of late Justice Ovieworeske was better.
The money spent is too much. We have improved in logistics. We have improved in technology. Still, our elections are shrouded in disputation. We have more cases going to the Supreme Court, going to the Court of Appeal. We have shambolic control of election with all technology. This is not rocket science. Liberia is doing it. Everybody is doing it in the world. In fact, I can argue...
But Nigerians are the ones doing this, particularly when you have vice chancellors as returning officers. So,
INEC includes all the hard work. For example, if INEC had prosecuted like Mike Guinea did, see, this can be solved. Look at what Mike did in Akwa Ibom. Successfully prosecuted a rec.
A professor.
A
returning officer,
who is in prison, who was jailed.
Yeah.
How many times have the chairman of himself for the INEC prosecuted indicted INEC officials? In this process, has there been a report? We've discovered that 3-4 people got it wrong. This is what I've suffered. So basically, it's not a learning organization. It has no integrity. And so what I think is that it's a national security issue. The NSA should see election in Imo particularly as a national security challenge.
But he's a party man.
But
he's a party man.
But he has a responsibility.
Yeah, is he going to draw, the line between his party and the Office of National Security Advisor?
Like him not to see that, look, the president is not running an election in Imo. 2, the nation must be preserved first. Let me give you an example. You talked about the Supreme Court case. Since January, Imo has never been the same. Now the police is going to hold a conference. You know what?
The top echelon of
Why would the police hold a conference that it means that the IG and a contestant will sit few days to election, creating the impression that this is the guy cozy with the police? You see, we need
but can't you see it in this other light, that the police are doing that as a show of force, that this election will hold? We are coming here to Imo State.
They shouldn't have the governor attend. You see, that's the point. We should be able to understand the requirement of neutrality. In ordinary times, the governor is chief executive. But in a time when the governor is up in election, and Nigerian elections are questions around integrity of INEC and the police neutrality. And we've seen reports alleging all kinds of things. So for me, the first no is until election is over, the police should not create the impression that somehow, this is our man in Baghdad, quote unquote, the police should postpone that conference or go elsewhere. Not Kogi, not Bayelsa, not Timo. You see, why this is important is that electoral malpractices is a state-organized something, coercive force. You need force. That's why you never see incumbents easily lose election, because the incumbents control the coercive force. And so one of the elements of free and fair election is a level playing field. And so you have to be careful about optics, because some people will see it as, oh, this is now a signal that this is our man. And without even the IG telling anybody to do anything, people take it upon themselves. We are still a very authoritarian society where people take their bearing from command figures, father figures. Oh, I see the MD of this place doing this. Basically, MD wants us to
do same.
So you need to be extra careful to insulate and isolate yourself from circumstances that will convey to the other contestants that these guys are on undue advantage. So if you ask me, minimum agenda, clear off from anything that shows closeness. 2, go back to the Commission of Police, all these guys who have been indicted, alleged against, shift them for this election. Particularly the INEC, there's no reason on earth why the REC should remain there when the REC is the person that 5 leading parties, physical protest, later said, this guy is working with the incumbent. What is the difficulty of saying, stand down? We get 2 national officers, some break, moving for these 2-3 weeks and get the job done. Simple. You see, so the INEC is not really interested in integrity. They have impunity and a sense of no response. They don't care. You say this, simple things you can do. You sit in your office and say, you know what, this makes sense, let's go there. So I think that so far, I can't believe in INEC says so. It just carries no weight because they have to now back up what they say with action.
Yes, with action indeed. Just like the National Assembly,
Absolutely.
House of Representatives is backing their own, palliative with action. 160 million naira. Doc, for one SUV for 360 members and Nigerians to cushion the palliatives are only getting 8,000 naira for.
And not all Nigerians.
Not all Nigerians.
Absolutely. So
how ridiculous can this really be?
In two levels. One, by the way, the cost of an SUV cannot be 160 million.
It's about 90 million
90
from
million.
what, so it has been padded as usual with 70 million.
About close to half of
Yes, of the money.
Of the money.
As usual.
As usual.
And in the face of scarcity of forex,
yes. This is a no-no.
It's been important.
This is a no-no because if they were responsive again, this is a government that says poor people tighten their belt, already tight.
And the rich one, they are loosening their belt.
I call it subsidy and the transfer of wealth to the rich. Nigeria has been undergoing transfer of wealth. Forget this gimmick about, we're in fiscal crisis. If you're in fiscal crisis, there will be a moratorium on public procurement of vehicles.
Are the people too docile, or the abject poverty is really subdued them that they can't even go and say, no, National Assembly, this is not going to happen?
Three things are happening. One, people are trapped, confused, and they have weaponized poverty. Two, the civic voices that should be speaking
have joined
are compromised by the alignment. From 2015, I said it clear, the civil society became part of APC in a bid to oust Jonathan. And I spoke to them. I said, look, it's good to be against the government of the day, but don't become part of the opposition. So retrieving themselves from that commingling creates a crisis of identity. So you see voices muted. Look at the terrible socioeconomic conditions. The prophetic voice for civil society is not there because it's muted, conflicted, captured.
They are compromised.
So the poor person who is struggling to every revolution, every move is always by the middle class. So if the middle class are compromised, making cases, buying obtuse ideology, market ideology, we want to get a contract out of crisis, and then we've not seen any savings from expenses in villa. We've not seen reduction of personnel. We've seen some almost useless, meaningless appointments in the communication space. If you look at
come on! But you should be glad that Mr. President removed the chairman of FEMA. We discussed the 24-year-old board chairman.
Yeah, he did well. But the point is, look at the number of people we are appointing as communication aides. Does that suggest a real sense of fiscal austerity? So the only people who are facing fiscal austerity are the poor. National Assembly is not facing it. The presidency is not facing it. National Assembly can stay. See, those cars might be.
Why are Nigerians not rising against that? Apart from, the civil society that has become part of the ruling party. Since 2015, you said President Jonathan must be smiling in his room.
But if you look at Nigerian history of protests, it's always organized by what they call the chattering class, the civil society, labor, Komoroloni, Beko, so some of Chidobane. It's not the poor who is that.
Olisa back over there.
Intelligentsia. But now those people are suing for Nigeria first. They're saying God will help us, the naira will increase. But for me, the real concern here is institutions have to signal fiscal austerity by themselves. It starts with the leadership. So even if we're supposed to have these vehicles, we place a moratorium for the next 1 year because things are tough.
These are not poor people. It's so expensive to contest the election in the country.
These guys have cars. You see, look at it's true that they may ordinarily need this car, but for now, they can't continue. They can't continue. By the way, all the committees have cars. The office of the Senate President, all the functional areas that need mobility, they have working tools. This is about personal cars which they're entitled to. But the question is, under this condition, where people are suffering,
why are they not going to buy at Tinosin and at Pojo Automobile?
To buy Kaduna?
Yeah.
A good point. So why can't they have...
Why are they not buying from there?
Economic development. Yeah. If they say we're going to get...
Where are the roads that they really want to drive the SUV on?
Well, that's probably why they want to drive SUV, so the rest of us will suffer. But the key point here is, by now, we expected the national speaker to say, after consideration, we know we are entitled to this, but because of the circumstances, we will forego it for this period to symbolize our commitment. We understand that people are suffering. You see, what kind of leadership, even in terrible times, will not should signal commitment to the people?
And empathy.
I mean, that's the essence of leadership. And that's a magic. It turns Nigerians towards the government. It makes real the commitment that we're a difficult place we want to put together. The point is correct. We can bear this suffering for some time, knowing that there's a headway we're going. But we can't bear it if we see two different Nigerians.
When we see squanderemia in high places.
In one area, then the poor will tighten and keep.
All right, thanks so very much, Associate Professor of Law and a RISE analyst, Sam Amadi, for coming on Newsnight.
Thank you.